What's up, Olu?
What's happening, G?
Happy Sunday to you.
Man, it's a beautiful day, brother.
What's the magic today, brother?
We gotta talk, man. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about something. And it's been on my mind, something I've been holding on to for a long time. So I'm glad that, finally here. And get some of these things off my chest. It's nothing too crazy. But you gotta consider that there's 3 men in you. The potential of 3 men. You're gonna start off with the sexual man. This is when you're born. You got your chromosomes. You're going through puberty. And you're trying to find out and realize what you like, what you into, how you express yourself. This is your sexual man. And I've known some people to go really, really deep in sexuality and becoming like a sex god and, so on and so forth. And if you rise to the highest levels of sex, it's possible that you can blend in with social circles. This is when you get people that do sex tapes, and then from the sex tape, they become like social media influencers. You could be so good at what you do that all the girls know that's him. So there's a lot of that. But a sexual man, that sexual man, matures at a very early age. And then you just coast. Hopefully you can graduate from that sexual man into social man. So let's just think the sexual you starts around 10, 11 years old. And then, first, obviously, you gain your sex in the gestation period, during the gestation period. But because of the hormones kicking in around 10, 11, 12 years old, you start to mature into who you're going to be sexually. You start to learn yourself. And then, if you do the Venn diagram, you'll see that your social starts to pick up. Because I remember when I was 4th, 5th grade, I was speaking to a young lady. Still remember her name.
What was her name?
I'll just say her first name, Marcy. Marcy wasn't all that hot. You remember her?
Yeah, I remember her.
She wasn't all that hot. But
She wasn't that hot.
I went ahead and said, look, I got to start somewhere. So I said, well, Marcy, I think you and we should go together. She said, yeah. And so when she said yes, later on that day, that same day, at lunchtime, she comes and tells me she got to break up with me. For a guy, and I'm not going to say his last name, but for a guy named Nick. And that was my introduction to why being a social man is important. You see, prior to that, I didn't care about my status. I didn't care about anything. I didn't care. I was just going to school. As far as I knew, everybody just go to school. I wasn't trying to be cool. I wasn't trying to be liked. I just was going to school. And Nick. His name's Nick. He had more popularity than me, man. He was more social, you understand? And so I started to pick up on those kind of cues, like, all right, okay, you got to be the man then. And so that was that beginning of my being social. So I started to learn how to gain to the highest of heights of social interaction. You got to know how to fight, man. You got to know how to dress. Man, you got to have a little money, man. You got to know how to talk to people. And if you can master the social, you're always going to have the level underneath, that sexual. So your sexual man going to be all right if your social man is, if you got that social status, you should be able to express yourself sexually. I'm just telling you that there is 3 levels of mankind. The easiest level is always going to be sexual. So if a man or woman cannot capitalize on their sexual energy, they're always going to be awkward socially. Tell me when I start lying. But if they can get comfortable sexually, they can transfer into being social. And if you're comfortable socially, you should be able to have the confidence to take care of what you got to do sexually. It's natural. The reason why I came here to talk about this, everybody know being social, that's a big thing. Social media, how many followers you got, like everybody understands that. It seems like that's what everybody's after. You got some people who all they think about is sex. That's all they think about. So of course, social media is gonna be able to target those people. I see them every single time. I'm not gonna say no names, man. But every time, I think you mentioned that in one of the other videos you were doing.
Because I see a lot of my friends'
I
names.
see my partners, man. What y'all doing, man?
They like everybody that we don't know.
Yeah, man, one of the bros.
Couple of the bros.
But that's that sexual energy. Some people will call, just so I don't lose anybody, some people will call this a vibration. So you got the lower vibrations, and then you get a little higher in the vibrations. You are a social icon. And so many people know you off of social media, and you using that to your advantage, and as you should. But again, I'm here because that's where most people stop. As long as everybody know me, as long as I can get my money and I can get my sex, then I'm straight. You can't tell me nothing. I'm good. Well, there's a high level. There's a high level. If you have been excelling, then let's excel. Let's go to another level. Now, some people will consider this as religion. And religion, a lot of times, is done wrong. It's done socially. That's why you see a lot of these so-called pastors, whatever they call pastors, and they're so caught up in being social. They dress like everybody else. They try to get into certain circles. And it really disturbs my soul when somebody asks me, like, bro, you should be a pastor. No, sir. I don't like men on the down low. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm not looking to take advantage of women. I'm not trying to steal nobody's money. So I'm not interested in being like these modern day Christian pastors. I got partners, I got friends who are pastors, and obviously if I can call you a friend, we good. I'm not talking about you. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know who I'm talking about. You know that there's pastors out here, and they don't mean people any good. They're taking advantage of single mothers. Man, y'all know the story, bro. And so they're doing it in a social way, and sometimes they're doing it for their sexuality. You remember in Friday, Bernie Mac, I can say his name because he was acting, but who was he looking at? Mrs. Parker.
Mrs. Parker.
Ali. Can barely blame the dude, but what's he on? He's on that sexual energy. He's way, you understand? He's using his social status. He's using his so-called spiritual status to gain that sexual. And that's I just told you it's the easiest level to maintain and to achieve. So anyhow, I'm looking for the people that's going to rise to that spiritual level. And again, it's not. I don't mean religion. When you think of somebody like Malcolm X, he wasn't a Christian, a so-called Christian. He didn't see the Christ the way I see the Christ. But I respect him as a man because he was more about his spiritual being. You know, there's some people who they smoke weed all day, but they in tune with spiritual things. These people are not going to be very violent. These people are not going to ruin the world. These are the people that's actually keeping the world together. You understand what I'm telling you? Spiritual people. People that can look at a situation and say, nah, I'm good. That can look at a female and say, nah, you know what? I appreciate it, but I'm good. Why? Because they're on a journey. They understand that they're not here just to be social. They're not here just to be sexual. They're here to be spiritual. And if you're spiritual, you can take grasp of things that are not seen. And these are the people, and you could be too, who have ascended to another level. Now, it's easy to look at them and say, bro, I wouldn't do none of that, bro. I'm not on none of that. That's a monk, or that's a, you know, whatever you want to call them. That's a boring life. But there's something that they being fed by. There's something that they have taken a hold of that's putting them in a place where they are effective in things that you cannot see. People that's praying for the schools that our children go to. People that's implementing certain things in the neighborhoods that they don't want any clout for. I'm talking about ascending. I'm talking about getting to another level. I'm not talking about doing things just so people can know your name. I'm not talking about doing things so you can get a little money. You're going to transfer the money and turn that into a little bit of butt. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about that. And even if you're on that level, listen, I don't blame you. Whatever level you're on, I do not blame you, because it feels so good. It feels so good to get to see a female, or you're a female, to see a man and you're physically attracted to him and they physically attracted to you back. Man, that's a great feeling. And you play and you turn that into something that, I don't blame you. How can I blame you? If you are known by everybody, you walk into the club. I remember one time, bro, I walked in the club, man, this was years ago. It's been a while. Years ago, man, I walked in with Yuta. Yeah, I walked in with Captial G Jut, and they yelling our names, and that felt good, man. That felt good to walk in the club, man. People know you, and they recognize you for something that you've done, or you've made your mark, and they recognize you and they embrace you. That feels good, man. For somebody to say, hey, such and such, and like, yeah, such and such, yeah, him and my boy, that feels good, man. To be mentioned. So I don't blame you, man, if you like, nah, I gotta keep this thing going, I gotta keep my run going. But I want y'all to what I'm asking is that you don't look at the spiritual man and think any less of him. Because there's messages coming from the Most High, the Creator. There's messages coming. And he cannot count on the sexual man. And he cannot count on the social man. Because the social man too worried about how he looked to people. The sexual man's like, but does that mean I have to stop? I'm talking about meeting people that know how to fast. Fast. Give your body a break. Focus on that spirit, man. People that know how to read and say, and ponder things and consider. People like you who are watching our content, this kind of material, and say, nah, man, you know what? I'm going to think about that for a little bit. See, I don't come here to say a whole bunch of things that y'all agree with. I don't come here to say things purposely for you to disagree with. I come here because I know that I have a mission, and it's all about ascending to that spiritual man. You think of somebody like Mahatma Gandhi or Mahatma. I never remember how they say his name, but Mr. Gandhi. Am I going to look at Mr. Gandhi, even though he may not believe things the way I believe things? Am I going to look at him and say, man, he ain't know what's up? Imagine me looking at his life and say, bro, he was totally wrong. Man, that man was on to something. And there's people that I know that's in my family, that's in my life, who they're spiritual people. Just because we don't see everything eye to eye, who are we? This stuff is invisible anyway, so how can anybody see it exactly like how it's supposed to be seen? It's only what's revealed to you. So the people that I know who are ascending to be that spiritual being, I respect you, man, with the utmost respect. Because you are not of this world. And I honor your work. It's been a long time coming. And boy, do we still have needs. We still want love. We still want hugs. You understand? We still know people. But you're working and you're making this world a better place. And I know there's a lot of disagreements, but I'm telling you, if we could all just coalesce, if we could coalesce and seek truth and speak truth and show love, it'll take the least of us to make the most impact. And so that's more or less what I'm here for, to talk to y'all about, man. Just the three men. And I remember every stage. Sometimes I might be spiritual this morning, and then at some point get down to this social, sexual level. But understanding that, you know what I'm saying, you gotta get back up there.
We live in this world where it's so much low vibration, there's no escaping it, really. I find myself dealing with this often. It's like I vibrate at a high level, and then the low vibration is around all the time, you know? You personally, how do you, work around that? Because we all deal with it.
No, I love it. First, I want to talk about the vibrations, because it can, to the outside people who haven't experienced much of what's going on, it'll just sound like a buzzword, vibration, lower vibration, and so on and so forth. So in music, there's sound waves, and those sound waves are measured in hertz. So as an audio engineer in my past life, I know that an 808 have these kind of sound waves. It's like this. Okay. And it's a low vibration, so you can hear it from so far away. It travels from so far away, but it's muddy, and it's down here, and it's thick, and that's a lot of frequencies down there. There's a lot going on. You go outside, you can hear so much that grumble. Okay. And then there's other types of frequency, your mids. And so they're kind of like this. And then you have your highs, and you understand? So there's certain vibrations that if the math is right, like 440 hertz, 220 hertz, you can get a harmony. So my wife, she was in a singing group. And they would always try to get this harmony going. And when the harmony was just right, you'd hear a ring. Okay. So what you're trying to do with the vibrations is to get into harmony and to get into sync. And when you do that, just like the music is beautiful, life is beautiful. It's like, man. And so if I'm resonating with someone and our vibrations can be in sync, whether I'm up here, let's just say I learned some things that they didn't learn, but we are in sync, it's beautiful. It's going to make some good music if it's a relationship. Let me show you what happens when you're mixing. You know how to mix. When you're mixing and the frequencies are off, it's gonna sound like horrible music. Oh man, let me take this off. And it's gonna, man, something's wrong. Well, that's how it is when you meet a female. Like, man, I don't know, man. I like her. Like, I like this note. I thought this was where I wanted to be, but something's off. That pitch is off. Okay, so it's not just in music, it's in light. These lights that are emitting towards me, they're sending waves. So there's vibration and waves everywhere. Brain waves, think about it. Microwave, there's waves everywhere. So now you understand that this is energy. If a woman's, I only see women singers do it, I don't know if a man can do it. But if a woman sang at such a pitch, and if there were glass tumblers in the room, it'll shatter.
That's right.
So what is that? How did that happen? It's because of energy. So vibrations are energy. And so when I get around certain people, if I can sense their energy is low, like that vibration is low, hey man, I don't know what happened to you today. I don't know what you're going through, but I'm gonna try to, cause I'm uncomfortable. So I'm gonna try to just kind of let you do that. And what it ends up happening is, this might be a little too deep, but I'm gonna go there, man. I'm talking to spiritual people now. We done crossed over. So what can end up happening is somebody that's living in a low vibration, that is literally their dimension. Like, that's the world that they're living in. So you can be, let's just say I high school athlete star. I'm a star, and everybody know my name, so I'm all the way up. And then I don't get the scholarship, or something happened, I get hurt, and then I go fall into drugs. I'm the same dude. I got the same name. But I go way down to some circles that I never thought I'd be in. And so now my existence is in this dimension over here. And when somebody sees me, they remember me from this dimension, but when they see me, they're like, what's up, bro? You, man. And so they're going to go back to the dimension they live in and say, bro, I seen such and such, bro. Man, that dude out of there, man. You understand? But that athlete, that high school athlete, that ex-athlete, he couldn't care less, man. Because he's not a part of that world that you gonna talk about him in, and I seen such stuff, man. It's sad when you all that entire world. He has nothing to do with that. He's all the way over here in another world, man. In that vibration. So let's just say that dimension is from this vibration to this vibration, low vibration. That's a dimension, and we know his name. But he used to be here in this dimension. He done crossed past this dimension. He's all the way over here. All right. So their existence, even though we're living in parallel universes, is just in a different realm as yours. This is the reason why somebody can come from the hood, do really well for themselves, and then can never connect back with those guys again, man. Man, we grew up together. And so everything, when his guys that's back home, they're like, bro, nigga, man, you used to be brother, and I thought we was, you know what I'm saying? The whole time, they don't realize the man has ascended to a different world. He's in a different world. Man, he's in a different realm. So the whole time, he's like, all right, man, I got to go back to my guy. Man, I ain't seen my guys in so long, bro. You know what I'm saying? So he comes home, he goes, hugs his mom, take care of the mom and all that. He comes around the guys, he just want to chill again. Bro, you can't chill. Come on, man. Come buy some stuff, bro. Let's go turn up. You the God then came down to our world, bro, we gotta, come on, man. Or take me to your world.
Yeah, they want you to, they want to show you off now, or they want you to show them something they ain't never seen before.
Yeah.
But see, you need time for both.
Yeah. Well, it's difficult. The only thing that can really happen for that to work is either you gotta be like Boosie and leave this dimension and come back and hang here. I don't know his personal life. It just seemed like that's what he's doing. Hopefully you're not doing that, Mr. Boosie. But come and hang in this situation, which is, I don't recommend that, man. You made it out of this. But that's what you'll see. Or you'll see this guy that's over here try his hardest to pull all his guys to this new world. And I don't recommend that either. You know what they're going to do when they get in his world over there? They're going to mess it up, man. They're going to mess it up if you come here, and you're going to mess it up because that's your fault if you bring them to your new world. Let them ascend. You understand what I'm saying? Let them ascend. The reason why me and Woe is still so close is because while he was working on himself, guess what I was doing? I was working on myself. You know what I'm saying? And guess why it hurt our hearts so much that the rest of our partners ain't where we at? Because they didn't ascend, man. And there's nothing we can say to them. There's nothing we can do for them. They're not willing to ascend. Not willing to elevate. I've been seeing that word over and over and over again, elevate. Man, I'm finna be out of here, man. Out of where I'm at right now, man, I'm finna be out of here, man. The good thing is I see other people on that same journey. It's not everybody, but the ones I do see, man, come on. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. Yeah, let's elevate. One of the things that helps people ascend is trials, temptation, tribulation, hardship. Most of the people I know don't want any parts of that. Nah, man, I don't want any parts of that. But the people who say, you know what? This is my lot. This is what I'm going through. I'm going to go through it. I will not let it defeat me. Those people that triumph, they're the ones that are able to go from grade 1 to grade 2 to grade 3. And what's going to happen, this is my encouragement to people that's going through a lot of stuff. What's going to happen is you're going to graduate. You know what I'm saying? You're going to graduate.
You got to go through it. Like just when they do like the Navy SEALs, they got to go through it to become that. You got to go through harder hardship than a Navy SEAL to get to ascend. So it's not an easy trip or journey or task. It's hard.
Now, big truth you saying there. When I think about being like what somebody would call a thorough, like real nigga, like, you know, this kind of thing, this type of verbiage that we use for someone who is solid. In the scriptures, they would call that person a righteous man. That's what it is. It's called a righteous man. Now, there's no reward. I'm going to say that again. There's no reward that you can visually see for being a real one. Ain't that crazy, man? That's why people will act like they real ones, so they can cash in on it to somebody who don't know any better. Because they done looked at it. They're like, nah, man, I didn't see no boy, bro. He didn't snitch, and he went down there and did all that time, man, and you know what I'm saying? People got at his girl and all that other stuff, man, and they ain't had no money for him when he got out. I don't know, man. This whole real one, I don't know, man. I think I'm going to just act like one and then hurry up and cash out.
Have you experienced the in-between phase?
Oh, yeah.
Where the temptations that you're used to, they come about, and you may entertain them, but you don't fully entertain them because they're not entertaining to you, but it's a habit.
So that brings to mind my boy Joseph. Told y'all I'm a believer, so I'm in those scriptures. Joseph went through a situation where his brothers didn't really see eye to eye with him. They weren't on the same vibration. They weren't in the same dimension as he was. And so Joseph, because of that, got betrayed by his brothers, and he went and had to become a slave. And then as he was a slave, because his vibration was so high, he had a positive attitude. He ascended to the highest rank that he could as that slave. He did. And then there was a temptation. So I want y'all to think about this temptation stuff. That temptation is that's your final exam. He was tempted by a woman who she didn't care what he was talking about. She was trying to have that man. Her husband was gone. She was trying to have that man. And he withstood that temptation, and he passed his final exam. I'm telling you right now, if you are on a path and you working, and then here's this temptation, let's look at the Christ. When he was fasting for 40 days, it says after the 40 days, he was hungered. And so the enemy came when he was hungry to tempt him. So if you haven't eaten for 40 days and 40 nights, you're going to be hungry. He was hungry. He said, turn this stone into bread. He said, thou shalt not live by bread alone. It is written, thou shalt not live by bread alone. So there was a final exam that he was going through. And once he passed that final exam, there were 3 tests he did. After he passed that final exam, he ascended to a different level. That's when he started doing his miracles and preaching the gospel and so on and so forth. So there's temptations. And he had one, it said that he left them alone until the opportune time, which was that other season. And that other season was his last final grade. That's when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he pouring down blood, sweat, and he praying. He asking for his partners to pray. Once again, they're not on the same elevation plane as he is. They're not in the same vibration he is, so they're asleep. You know what I'm saying? They're tired. But he praying. He says, he's asking if this cup could pass him, if possible. But this is your final exam, son. God didn't even answer him. He had to go through that, man, and then he got betrayed by Judas, betrayed by a kiss. And y'all know the story. I think y'all know the story. That was his final exam, and he passed. So I'm telling you that these temptations, they're thumbs up. these are thumbs up towards you. Like, nah, man, you knew they were coming. Just go ahead and do your thing, bro. Just do your thing. Don't say, but I ain't slipped in a long time, so I'm going to slip this one time, and I know I'm going to get on and get back. What if you had to go through the 11th grade 4 times? But that's what you're doing, man. Every time you see this temptation, because the only thing that can tempt you is stuff that you're kind of interested in. The Christ was interested in food. He was hungry. The Christ was interested in majesty. He was, but he not finna get it from him. The Christ was interested in whether or not God had his back fully or not. He said, throw yourself down off this cliff. For it is written, you talking about the word, it is written that you shall not dash your foot against a stone and you will never break a bone. But then then the Christ said, listen, it is written, you shall not tempt the Lord your God. So temptation isn't coming from God. Some people say, man, I know God just put me through these temptations. God don't tempt you, man. But he's watching. When I say God, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the master spirit, the creator. You know what I'm talking about. That energy that nobody can deny. You know what I'm talking about. So he's watching. He's saying, I created you to do this thing. You gonna do it or you chilling? You're gonna be social, sexual, or you gonna be that spiritual being? Are you gonna ascend or you gonna elevate? It's the question. So yeah, go ahead and bypass that temptation, man. You can do it, bro. You strong enough. Young lady, you can do it. You strong enough. This ain't the first time you're hearing some of this stuff. What I've learned is to be really hard on myself. Mm-hmm. And then also be my best friend. Be your best friend. Like, you best friends with somebody and you only want the best for them. So if you see them going down the wrong road, you're like, bro, don't do that, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that, man. Because if you do that, then your baby mama, and then there's all this other stuff. Like, bro, don't even get into all that, bro. Like, man, come hang with me over here. Be your best friend like that. Like talk to yourself like, nah, maybe I ain't gonna do that. Yeah, bro, don't do that stuff, bro.
It's funny you say that because I always say they tell you the stuff that's crazy is really not crazy. They tell you not to talk to yourself.
Yes, sir.
But to me, that's the best thing you could do.
Yeah.
I take my morning walks, and that's when I get all that stuff that's scrambled in my... First off, I'm very grateful that I woke up. Yeah. That's number one, that my legs work, eyes work, everything. And then I just talk myself through the day and what the next mission is. You know what I mean? Yes, but they tell us not to talk to ourselves.
All right, so I'll tell you two talk, but there's more than one you. There's the you that you see, you can touch. There's the you that's a spirit, if your spirit is alive. This is that spirit man I'm talking about. And then there's your soul. Your soul? Your soul is the one that's tempted. Your soul is the one that wants all this. That's what's experienced in life, is your soul. So when you're talking to yourself, make sure it's your spirit man talking to your soul. Because that's who's going to be burdened by prison. That's who's going to be burdened by disease. That's who's going to be burdened by poverty. So your spirit man is like, look, I see where this is going. Like, you know what I'm saying? I had to talk to myself recently. Just some stuff I'm doing I'm heading the wrong way, man. And I know it. My soul is like, man, I don't know how this is going to turn out. But my spirit man is like, nah, man, you let's get out of this thing, man. That's where prayer comes in, because your soul is like, okay, because that's who makes the decision. Is your soul. That's the seat of your emotions, where your will lies. And so your soul is who makes the decision. So your spirit man can be doing this all day, man. You might tune him out, get his voice to be a little lower. Your soul is who's making the decision. So hopefully you good enough friends with that spirit man. You trust that spirit man enough to be like, nah, your soul, like, nah, you right, man. Let me do this other thing. Because once it goes good for you, your soul gonna rejoice. And you can be like, spirit, man, you told me, man. So that's when you talking to yourself, those are the two people that's going back and forth. You know what I'm saying?
Well, both of them have the experience, your soul and your spirit,
Yes,
but
sir.
it's a different experience
Yep.
that they're experiencing.
Yes, sir.
And what you're basically saying is the spirit is convincing the soul that you don't want to go through this.
Yes, sir.
You know.
Yeah.
In that sense, the spirit understands everything in totality.
More than the soul. The spirit is connected to infinity, the infinite. That's why it's so important to rise up to become the spiritual man, because now you've tapped into the infinite. Doesn't mean that you have the library to infinity stuff, but you have access. You have access through that spirit to things that most people don't know, probably will never find out in their lives. And you can bring what you've downloaded, let's just say there's a spiritual library somewhere, and you done downloaded so much stuff into your spirit. You can take that, and then now that soul can benefit so much from that spirit man that has gained all this wisdom, all this truth, all this knowledge. And so hopefully that's what's going on in all spiritual people. The people who are still in their social, let me tell you who they get most of their cues from. Ain't it from their peers? Ain't it from what's popular and who else? Who's at the top of the social ladder? Let me do what they do a little bit. So they don't get messages from their spirit man. He's dead. That spirit man is not even alive yet. You remember the scripture says that a man must be born again. So that spirit man, once you're born again, you're born into a spiritual realm. It's a higher vibration. That spirit man is young when you first start. So some people might expect you, because you keep hollering like, y'all got to do better. Like, life is better when you do this, and you got to be creative. So you saying all this stuff, and people getting tired of you. But they don't realize you're just a baby. That spirit is just a baby, little baby. You know what I'm saying? And then the creator is giving that baby all this nourishment, because that's what you do with a baby. You nurture him. But then as that spirit man starts to grow up, you become a teenager and so on and so forth. Now, so many things that are involved in the world, you learn, let me not cast my pearls into the swine. And then you start seeing either surahs from the Quran, or you see different proverbs, Chinese proverbs, or you'll see stuff from the Bible, and all of it just starts to resonate with you. And you realize, man, you know what? In this realm, I'm talking about this earthly realm, it doesn't matter so much what you believe. It's just about you ascending to that next place so you can get these messages, man. Because if you get these messages in this realm, you can make this realm better. Now, the new life, the next world, who holds all the rules? Who decides? You already know who decides. Whether you believe in God or don't believe in God, he's the one that decides how everything's going to go in the next life. But in this life, if you become spiritual, we depend on you. We need you. You know what I'm saying? We need you. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead and speak to yourself. Don't hesitate. Why are you afraid anyway? You done left the social stuff. You know what I'm saying? You're not worried about all that no more. Stay focused. Whether you're going to build a business, you're going to get extra messages from the creator of how to do it, like where to go. Like, that's why when people go to billionaires, they listen to billionaires. What's a billionaire? Ain't he just a dude that made $1 million a bunch of times? But we feel like he's elevated because how did you make $1 million a bunch of times? Like, how'd you do that? Well, he knows some secrets, is what I'm saying. He's gotten some messages. And so we'll listen to him like he's some kind of guru. And a lot of times, they are. A lot of times, I ain't talking about the wicked, wickedness, depravity, that's something else. I'm talking about the ones who actually, they're calm. Listen to 50 Cent, man. Listen to that man. You can't tell he's either a billionaire now or will be within the next 3 years. You can't tell. Listen to him. You can't see his ascension. And that dude done elevated. So there's messages that's coming. It's all around us. If you will elevate to that spiritual man, you'll be able to pick up on some of them. Not all of them. But there's frequencies. And how do we listen to the radio? When you turn, well, you ain't turning dials no more, but once you get on a certain 102.1, don't you see that those are hertz, kilohertz? Okay, that vibration, that frequency is getting messages. Playing Tank. Who else they playing on 102.1? They playing, I guess I don't know if they still play the Temptations, but that's old school. So that's 102.1. They even play some Pac on there now.
I guess that's old school now too.
Yeah, just old school. So then you got, I ain't gonna say 97. I'm not gonna say them, but 93.7. That's a frequency. That's why that number is a actual frequency. And in that frequency, what messages are being sent? That's where you hear Cardi B. That's where you hear. I'm talking about radio stations. When I say, so, some y'all are all from all over the place. I'm talking about radio stations. So you think about your radio station, whatever the beat, that radio station, that number that's in front of it, that's a frequency. So I'm using that so we can see what I'm saying. When you get into a certain frequency, there's messages in that frequency. When you ascend to a certain frequency, there's messages. And you might have 50 people all around the world that heard that message because they was on that frequency. But how you gonna hear any of this stuff unless you elevate, man?
But it almost seems like there's almost no way to not be intertwined with people that are on different frequencies from you. So when you're on a high frequency, you always battling this protecting my energy and the frequencies that you're on, because most people are on a lower frequency at most times just because of the world that we live in.
Yes, sir.
Do you battle with that sometimes?
Yeah, I don't battle with it, and this is the reason why. I'm in those situations.
Right.
But I realize they're in a different world. Like, here is this world. In this same room, let's just say there was 50 people in here. Somebody got to catch a bus when they leave. Another person, they got a flight they got to catch. Somebody else is an investor, so they're just here to invest. They're just checking everything out. We're in all different worlds, brother.
Understood.
We're in all different worlds. So if I can recognize, like, before I get offended, before I feel like irritated, I just got to remember, like, nah, we are all having these experiences in different worlds. It's just the room is the same. That's it. Just the room is the same. There's spirits in here. And those spirits, we can't see them. That don't mean they're not here. Like, they're here. That's it. We just can't see them. So they're occupying the same space, too. We're all in the same space and the same time. You know why? Because there's really no such thing as time. There's really no such thing as time. If that sun goes and goes and goes, what makes that time? It's just the sun's just moving. That's it. I'm born and then I die, just like everybody else is born and then they die. Whether it happened 700 years ago or 7 years ago, it's the same thing. You live and you die. It's the same thing. So we all had to occupy this space. They did it then. I'm doing it now. It's the same sun.
Right. Nothing changed.
It's the same sun.
Nothing has changed.
Like, this is my dimension. This is their dimension. If I go over here, it's not gonna be comfortable. I don't want to do that. I don't smoke, right? I don't smoke, but just my choice. And I have before. You laughing.
That's a giggle back there.
I have before. When I did, it was super obvious why this guy can't do this. He can't keep doing this.
When he does, you want him to continue to do it every day because you're gonna laugh till you're on the floor all day. He's a comedian when he's hard.
Yeah. But then it's also obvious, like, this guy won't be the same as who he could be if he did this all the time. True. And so I recognize the actual shift, like, cool. And I'm not saying they could be parallel. Like, I ain't saying one is lower than the other, because I know many people who are really enlightened and they smoke. They're probably higher spiritually than I am. I know, I see you. Very enlightened. So I don't want to come across, I don't want to make this in any way come across like, matter of fact, let me do this. This is for my smokers. in the Bible, more than one time, they use cannabis in the rituals to worship God. Did you hear what I said? Often. Often. As a matter of fact, you'll see it in there as calamus. And you look up sweet calamus, you just look it up. You're gonna find the Hebrew word kanebosum. Kanebosum is the same word for cannabis. So y'all straight. If you wondering if God, like, man, I wonder if God, should I start smoking? Whatever God tell you to do that. But it's in the Bible, man.
Olu told him. I ain't got to say it. Olu told him.
Yeah, it's in there.
Break.